Hello again, and welcome back to Illegally Cited. This is Jesse, aka BGFH, and I am back for kind of another monthly topic update video, whatever you want to call it here. And figured now would be a good time to chat about a few things, seeing it's not quite the middle of December, but we had the Game Awards last night. A few things that I maybe want to mention there. And yeah, just some things that have been happening around the channel, around gaming, good and bad and otherwise. And we'll just get started here. First, I'd like to start with kind of a channel update, what's been going on, how things are going. Like I said, definitely lots of stuff coming out on the channel lately. I've had several videos, a little bit of everything too. Some accessible games, PC accessible game. Looked at the I forget what it was called now. I just streamed it a couple weeks ago, but looked at an accessible PC kind of adventure game that's going to be promising there. Looked at a accessible Minesweeper game. Last couple videos. So there's that. We've had some Mixer streams. I've been doing Mixer streams pretty regularly the last 2-3 weeks again, so I'm trying to get a stream in sometime on the weekends, usually like a Saturday evening or something like that. And I'm thinking about doing another one here this weekend, maybe one or two of them. Kind of what I'm doing lately is I'm going through and streaming just some of those games that I've been in the mood to play, and I just haven't gotten around to recording on the channel. Like I've always wanted to cover the Elder Scrolls games on my channel. We just really haven't gotten to do that, and rather than trying to figure out, well, let's get several hours in so I can at least show a good portion, a variety of the game, I'll just start from the beginning and get people interested by showing the initial, getting started with Oblivion like I did a couple weeks ago. Went back and played Crysis, which is a really fun shooter with the suit powers and the whole graphic fidelity that they had back in the day that would just cripple pretty much anything but the ultimate gaming rig machine. So that was interesting. Some of these I haven't actually unlocked for you guys yet, but they'll be coming in the future here pretty soon. And remember, if I go live on mixer.com/bgfh, even though if you miss the live stream, you can still catch them on Mixer, the Mixer archive for, I want to say it's like 2 weeks that they stay up. And then they just automatically get deleted because that's the way their system works. So what I'll do in that, usually a day or two after the stream, I will download them and re-upload them to YouTube. So then they'll, if the stream is halfway decent, I'll do that. And then you guys will have them on the channel under the Mixer illegally cited Mixer playlist. So you'll have it eventually there, but if you want to see it and you just happen to miss it, go ahead and catch it on Mixer. You can watch the archive at mixer.com/bgfh. You'll see the last ones that are still up there. And there you go. So yeah, thinking about doing that a little bit. Now, as far as the channel goes, we also hit another milestone. We actually hit and surpassed 1,300 subscribers. We were kind of inching toward it for a little while, stalled out a little bit, but now we're not only are we at 1,300, but we're actually at 1,311, which it's kind of just shot up in the last couple of days again. So very cool. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for spreading the word and such. Hope you guys find a variety of things to watch. Hope you guys find something that you like here. There's a good variety of it. We've got some PC, some console stuff. We got some accessible iOS games and apps and VR accessibility and hardware reviews and just Mixer streams, archives, and just all kinds of stuff. You never know what I'm gonna, I've been kind of just branching out and trying a few different things over the past few years, and it seems to be going reasonably well. So another video that I thought would be actually a little bit popular with, as many people having iPads as they do. I have my iPad Pro review for this year. But shortly after that, I actually did also release a video for the Just Stand. It is a iPad stand, or not just an iPad, but it's a tablet stand that is actually really versatile. I have one at home. We have one at the office, and at home I'm actually using it on my L desk right now, and at work I've shown it to several people. I've taken it to a couple of events. I actually had a coworker borrow it. I think it was just yesterday, and showed it to someone, and they were like, they had just gotten a new iPad, and they, were thinking about a big old CCTV, and then they saw that and went, oh, so I can just put my paper under my iPad and still have my hands free, and yeah, sold. So I guess that worked out for another client. They got really interested in it too. So if you haven't checked out that video, and you're interested in a really neat piece of tech for a tablet, definitely check out the hardware review for the Just Stand. It's actually kind of lower views than I thought it would be, especially with the focus on blindness and low vision and assistive technology. Don't overlook that one, because it's I'm really growing to like it quite a bit. Let's see. Oh, the other thing is maybe about a week and a half ago, I finally got to release on Twitter. You can follow me on Twitter at BGFH79. The full episode of the Blind Vet Tech podcast that I had mentioned a while back. It is finally out, and you can listen to it now. So I have a link to that in my Twitter feed. And so we talked a little bit about game accessibility, overall accessibility, just some of the trends that are coming up, and it was a fun conversation. So again, thank you to Tim, and thank you to him for inviting me onto the podcast, and thanks to Joe for helping me get connected with him. So yeah, go ahead and check that out as well. That was another fun podcast experience. Just kind of looking at, I have a few things written down actually, because there's quite a few things I actually wanted to talk about. I'm going to skip this one for now, because I kind of want to talk about this one in a little bit more detail. So other couple weird things that have happened lately. Man, Disney and Marvel, man. I hope they don't ruin stuff, because we've been seeing the Netflix series, the Netflix Marvel series being canceled. Iron Fist didn't surprise me. I still haven't watched season 2 yet. I watched season 1 and went, nah. It was watchable, but I found it mostly to be boring. I mean, I liked Luke Cage. I liked Jessica Jones. Those were pretty good. Daredevil season 3, though, was fantastic. I actually really enjoyed it and binged my way through that in a weekend. But yeah, earlier this week we get the word that, Daredevil, of all things, especially with the cliffhanger that they had at the end of season 3, where I'd like to see how that's going to go. This massively positively rated series has been canceled. The previous seasons will still be on Netflix, but they're like, no, we're not going to do another season. It sounds like even some of the writers were surprised, and that sucks. I mean, part of me hopes that they'll just kind of continue, maybe through Disney's service when they get that up and running, but part of me says, well, it's Disney, and with their family-friendly image, and I know they own Star Wars and stuff like that, but I don't know if they're going to keep, the more kind of darker, more adult style of the way the Netflix series were going. Because, Jessica Jones, she was basically like an alcoholic, and, all these guys were just getting massively beat up, and, there was just some interesting stuff going on in a lot of the Netflix series. So I hope they come back, but I don't know, but I hope they don't get dumbed down too. I mean, it's a real shame. You think they could maybe partner with that a little bit. I mean, I know they want to kickstart something so that people will flock to their service, but I don't know. That was just a real bummer because season two was all right, but Daredevil season one and three were really good, and I really love the way they do the Kingpin in that series. But I had to comment on that. So, um, a few other things as far as other gaming things that have happened. Boy, I've covered Fallout 3 and 4. I think maybe I didn't cover 3, but I covered 4 on the channel. I was sort of kind of interested in Fallout 6, but I was really hesitant, and I'm glad I waited because, ooh, I have not been hearing really anything good about Fallout 76. That is likely something I'm not going to be covering on the channel in the near future because unless they really make some massive updates and changes and fixes and put more content in for people to actually do. I mean, they've just been since the game came out, what, a week, 2 weeks ago. They've been having just a terrible, terrible launch. Like, I mean, some of the server stuff right away was a little jank. Then there's, of course, there's the typical, um, the whatever I forget what the engine is called that they're using, but there's the typical jank for that. You get these. Okay, you're going through these servers, but there's only 24 people for a server with no NPCs except for voice logs and a few robots. So it kind of feels like this empty wasteland. So a lot of the exploration and story and character interaction that is kind of fun just to stumble upon in like the Fallout 3 and 4 games doesn't seem to be there. Um, then they had this whole thing where they said, "Oh yeah, if you order this super super special expensive edition, you get this canvas bag like in the game or something. This heavy duty canvas bag." Only to realize they shipped out. We didn't have enough money, so we didn't. Whatever. Would they just shipped out some cheapo bag, and that got people really pissed off. They tried to offer them some in-game currency because, of course, there's endless microtransactions in it as well. Ugh. And now the latest thing is apparently they found some way to do the manufacturing again, and so they're going to try to reissue the better quality bags to people. And then on top of all of that, the negative opinion on the gameplay, their little pre-order kerfuffle. Then I hear earlier this week, then they had a whole thing of like something on their server briefly leaked customer information. Like, so they had like some kind of a security breach. I'm like, oh my God, you guys, can you guys get any more bad luck? I mean, it's just as this train wreck. You can't look away, but it's like, wow, you guys. I mean, this is not doing any favors for your game. And I like Bethesda. I mean, yes, there's some of their engines have jank, but uh, Doom. they have it under them. Doom, Fallout, Elder Scrolls, Rage. Just yeah, all those things I generally like, and Fallout 76 just seems to be a big old clusterfuck of. Ugh. Yeah, so if you're looking forward to that, since I've covered Fallout in the past, probably not going to happen, at least for quite a long time until they maybe get things ironed out a little bit. Speaking of train wrecks, one thing I will probably be covering on the channel is the PlayStation Classic. So the last couple of years, that Nintendo has released, and I have purchased said NES Classic and SNES Classic, the Super Nintendo Classic. And they've been fantastic. They've been little. I mean, granted, Nintendo doesn't know how to keep inventory, but maybe they're getting a little better at that. But yeah, so aside from people not being able to get them, they've released really great little pieces of hardware. 20 to 25 games. Super Nintendo had an unreleased version of Star Fox 64 that people got to play. I mean, there's really not a bad game on either system. And then comes Sony and they go, me too, me too. Look at us. We have the Sony. We're Sony. We have the PlayStation. And originally, when they announced it, I'm like, okay, I could see that. Yeah, I had a PlayStation back in the day for a little while. Then I ended up selling it because I needed the money for something else, and I kind of regret it actually. But so I was initially pretty excited about it, and from that point on, the enthusiasm just kind of went right down the crapper, and I was literally this close. The morning that I learned that my classic shipped, I was just starting to read enough articles and see different things, and like I said, I was on the fence already. I was literally just going to cancel my pre-order. And because I did pre-order it thinking, well, I don't know if Sony's going to be any smarter and if they're going to release a whole bunch of units so that people can actually find them if they want them. And they were actually up for pre-order. It wasn't just like Nintendo where they said, okay, it's out now, go fight for them. You can't pre-order. So I did pre-order for that reason. But yeah, when I was going to pre-order, or when I was going to cancel my pre-order, they ended up shipping it. So yeah, I have one now. I haven't hooked it up yet, but I do have one. So boy howdy, let me tell you about the PlayStation Classic. I am going to do a hardware review for it once I get a chance to sit down and play with it a little bit and tinker with it a little bit. So we have 20 games on the PlayStation Classic, which is fine. Okay, similar to NES, Super NES, whatever. Everyone is making their classic systems. We've got Sega doing their own one coming out here pretty soon. Commodore has one. I think SNK doesn't know. SNK is software, I think, for the Switch. But there's been a few of them. I can't even keep track anymore. But you got 20 PlayStation games. And if you're only going to include 20, you're not going to please everyone, especially with the library that the original PlayStation had. You're not going to please everybody. But some of the choices that they decided to use in that, like the PlayStation version of Rainbow Six, really? That was a PC game back in the 90s. That was a PC-ass PC game. Like, you needed, a lot of controls and mouse precision, and because that was they hadn't really they hadn't really perfected the consoleization of that kind of thing yet. And oh man, I've seen a little bit of a clip, some clips of Rainbow Six on there, and ooh, talk about running like ass. I mean, that thing just runs terribly with their frame rate. But you have that. I mean, some of the games, I've heard of, but I have never played, like Jumping Flash. I have no memory of that. But I mean, there's no. Some of the stuff I didn't expect to be on there just because of the licensing, like the Tony Hawk 1 and 2, I would have killed for, especially 2 to be on there. But then you have all the music licenses. I mean, God, if they would have had the Tony Hawk games on there, that would have been perfect. Symphony of the Night, even though I have the XBLA version, that's just a defining thing. Soul Edge, that could have been on there, or Soul Blade, I should say. Those have been a couple of picks that I would have said, but there's some good ones on there that people remember. Of course, you have Final Fantasy or Menu Fantasy 7. You have Metal Gear, you have Twisted Metal, you have a few other ones, Resident Evil Director's Cut. But the problem is, a lot of the games are 9 out of the 20 are these European PAL versions of the games. And you think, oh, well, European, North American, whatever, who cares? The problem with that is the PAL format actually uses a different refresh rate for their TVs, or they did back in the day. So we have generally 60 frames per second. They have 50 frames per second. And therefore, PAL games generally ran a lot slower in the European region. So, but the problem is they put a lot of these European ROMs on there, and there's some performance issues, and then on top of that, they're running the PAL version, so you compound those two things, And some of the games that I was really looking forward to, like Ridge Racer Type 4 or Tekken 3, that was one of the games I owned. I loved Tekken 3. But those are the PAL versions, and apparently, like Tekken especially, just runs like complete garbage. So, that makes me very sad. And then we find out there's been several videos and articles in the last couple of days about, oh, the PlayStation Classic. They have, well, what have we done here? People have dug into the innards of it and said, oh, there was potentially some data for like 36 or more other games that could have possibly been on there. So, but they're not in playable form. They're just like some kind of reference code or something to like, oh, probably they tried some of these ROMs on there and then they just didn't end up including them because they probably could have had some of this stuff on there, but I'm sure they just rushed it for holidays because, well, it's the holiday season, therefore that's when the only time people shop and we have to have it available, so let's rush it and do as half-ass minimal job as we possibly can. So there's that problem. And then somebody else also discovered that, oh, if you plug in certain keyboards, and I don't know why it's only certain keyboards, that's one of the things I'm definitely going to try on mine to see if any of my keyboards are going to work. If you plug in a keyboard to the PlayStation Classic and you go into a game and then you hit the escape key, it actually brings up the emulator settings that the console is using, which is using this open source, what is it, PSX or PS... I don't remember the exact, there's a couple variations of it, but they're using some mainstream variation of an open source community PlayStation emulator, and apparently you can adjust things like frame rate, and I think you can even switch the region of the title. So if I can happen to have a compatible keyboard, I might be able to theoretically boost a little bit of the frame rate on things like Tekken 3 or Ridge Racer. I don't know if that's gonna, adversely brick my machine, or if it's gonna make things run. Is it gonna cause extra wear and tear? I don't know, because people are warning. We don't know if what this is gonna do. Maybe there's a reason they didn't have it on the NTSC, but more than likely they just slapped it in there and didn't pay any attention. I don't know. But I'm going to have a lot more to say about that when I do my actual review. But so that is another, I would say, largely disappointing thing that should have been really cool. There's a lot of people that fondly remember, especially my age, that fondly remember the PlayStation, because it was kind of this interesting bridge between your Super Nintendo and then your GameCube era style things, or Dreamcast, where you had some 2D, some 3D, just a really interesting system. Couple other things, things that are coming up on the channel. Like I said, I have a lot of videos recorded. I mean, I keep recording more, and I still have a heck of a backlog. So yeah, I might give you guys, especially around the holiday season, give you guys maybe a few more bonus videos here and there throughout the weeks. I just discovered a couple of really neat Amazon Echo games I was playing with about a week ago. And I have recorded the videos for them, but I haven't unlocked them for you guys yet. So stay tuned for those. There's a really cool escape room one, and there's actually a really fun Harry Potter trivia game that I really should play again, because go Ravenclaw. Yeah, I figured I'm a nerd. Ravenclaw seems like a good house, so we're going to fight for them. So go ahead and join Team Ravenclaw, if you want to, and we'll take these other guys down. But I'll show you those in a future couple of videos. Like I said, I'll have some mixer streams. I've got a couple more hardware reviews probably coming out. Of course, all kinds of games, mainstream games, accessible games, probably some VR content here coming. You just never know. You never know what'll be out there. But the channel is not slowing down. I don't know what my travel plans are going to be for the holidays. There's some things that are sort of up in the air. But even if I do go anywhere at some point, as I said in last month's video, you guys aren't going to notice, because I can still unlock things from my phone. So you guys will just keep seeing stuff coming out as usual. I think that's most everything other than the Game Awards. I want to mention a few things there. And I want to talk about, somewhat related to that, a new competitor to the PC game store landscape. So right now we have Steam, which is basically the huge one that everyone's trying to combat. You have GOG. I don't think they call themselves Good Old Games anymore. It's just GOG because they have a lot of old classic games, but they've been getting a lot more AAA and indie new titles as well. And I do use those. I've actually recorded several videos from games that I've purchased from them. You have itch.io, which I haven't really ever played with. That's kind of like a smaller indie, like really indie place to the best of my knowledge. I haven't looked too much into that. There's getting to be so many. Like EA's got theirs for their EA store. I've got a couple of games through there. Like I think I have like Crysis 3 and Titanfall 2, which I really need to get around to playing. So you have all those, but now Epic. Yes, Epic, the people that make the Unreal stuff, the Unreal Tournament, the Unreal Engine, of course, Fortnite, which I really don't care about. But Fortnite, yes, they have launched their Epic Games Store. And that is kind of interesting because they're trying to offer a better deal for people publishing games to their store. They're taking a smaller cut of the revenue. I won't get into the details of it, but they're just basically trying to say that, if you put your game up here, the developers and publisher or the developers will basically get a larger cut of anything that they earn. So that can be enticing. They're also doing some things where if you're using the Unreal Engine, I forget the exact way it works, but like they don't have to pay for some of the licensing or something if they include it on their store. So they're giving some nice incentive for some developers. And, like I said, as much as I don't want to have all my stuff scattered around 5 different electronic stores on the PC, Steam definitely needs some real competition. I mean, like I said, EA does some stuff. I would say GOG is the next major competitor because, a lot of people like what they do. But, I mean, just Steam is just huge. I mean, look at my Steam library. It's completely ridiculous. So here we got just an intro here. I just switched over to the the Epic Store page. And they're only launching right now with a few games, but they had like a nice trailer for kind of some of the things that they were looking at doing over the next short while and into 2019. But like, a friend of mine on Twitter gives me crap all the time about Steam and the way that he doesn't like it and stuff like that. And believe me, there are things that I do not like about Steam. The lack of any acknowledgement of accessibility is a major one. I mean, I'd love to be able to use this thing with a screen reader better, or well, at all. That's of course a big one. I wish that things were curated a little bit. I mean, they do let literally almost everything into the store. And I used to, like back when it wasn't quite so overwhelming, I would go in every day, every couple of days, and just kind of look at their new releases because maybe they would have, 10 releases, 20 releases, and I could kind of look at some of the things and I would have overlooked this indie game or this something or other. But now I swear to God, there's like 180 games that come out a day. And you really have to follow, like, maybe you follow Steam curators, maybe you follow podcasts or certain Twitter feeds that try to pull some of that stuff out. I mean, I've heard of things that have been out there. I didn't even know they were out there, but the only way I learned about them is somehow, they came to another platform and then a podcast or something said, "Oh yeah, this is also available on Steam." I'm like, "Oh, I didn't know that." So I mean, it's just gotten so unruly. I mean, there's just so much stuff right now. I mean, which in a way is a good thing, but in a way is a bad thing, especially if you're an indie developer and you're trying to basically get noticed amongst the 800,000 games that are on Steam right now, a lot of which can be shovelware. Some of them are made to, some of them are made to just boost on achievements, or some of them are just microtransaction asset flips. It's just getting to be. I mean, there's a lot of great stuff on Steam, and I love just, not having to worry about updates. I just install a game, I click on it, and I play it, and boom, we're good. I don't have to worry about updates. I want to uninstall it. I right-click and say uninstall. Boom, done. It's made PC gaming a hell of a lot easier. But Valve, with its really hands-off approach, I mean, I understand having a generally hands-off approach. I get that, but I think you really have to do you gotta have a team there. You really gotta do some sort of quality control, some sort of moderation, some sort of highlight the good things. Or I mean, I know they're trying to do that with like oh, you're interested in this type of thing, so they try to filter like maybe they'll show me more first-person shooters or more of the certain types of games that I like to play. So that's kind of cool. But just like Google, it's like you can only optimize so much with an algorithm. Sometimes like you have to have like a human intervention to kind of really take it to that next level. So yeah, there are things about Steam that definitely need to be improved, and just like assistive technology, I keep saying competition is important. I mean, good Lord, it was Freedom Scientific, then it was VFO, then now it's, what is it, Vispero or some weird freaking thing. I heard that they switched their name again. Next year it'll be something else, and then next year they're going to buy up probably another company, and it's just going to be this monolithic thing of now we can do whatever the hell we want because we're basically a monopoly, that we're in an industry that nobody cares about, that it won't be slapped with an antitrust because they're under the radar. But where I was going on that side rant, yeah, it was basically to say, like I said, competition's a good thing. If you have somebody else doing another good product, then at least you have somebody to fight against. Then you have reason to care. You have reason to fix some of your store issues in Steam. You have reason to fix some of your content curation or whatever problems. Maybe, God forbid, you actually take an interest in accessibility. If somebody else starts another store and they actually include accessibility, maybe that would actually get them to think, oh, well, maybe we could and should do that. Don't hold your breath, but anything's possible. So yeah, the Epic storefront, the Epic Game Store could be interesting. And one of the things that I did notice, and I thought I was seeing things, but during that trailer at the Game Awards last night, which will transition to our last topic here, their trailer, I swear to God, I noticed there was like 2 or 3 clips of Journey. Journey being this exclusive PlayStation 3 title that I finally did get to play when I got my PS3, and it is gorgeous. It's just this exploration game. You're in a desert, and then you go into these like caves and stuff later on, and then you go. I mean, I'm not going to spoil it. I mean, it's the gameplay. I'm not going to say it's minimal, but it's just kind of this relaxing. You're not really penalized. It's just an exploration game that is just goddamn beautiful. And I saw several clips of that going, wait a minute, is that, do I not, am I seeing that right? Is that coming to PC? I actually looked up online after that, and I saw a couple articles saying, yeah, I don't know if it's coming elsewhere too, but at least with the Epic Game Store in 2019, Journey is coming to the PC. And I will definitely think about grabbing that and show that to you guys on the channel, because it was just a really neat game, and just to think to see that on PC hardware, maybe they've up-resed it a little bit even more, and maybe they're designing it for 4K TVs. Um, just having that run at even 60 frames a second, really high graphics. It's just a really neat atmospheric game. So that one jumped right out at me. But now we move on to the Game Awards, and they've had them for a few years, and I have mixed feelings on them. I mean, yes, it's the Game Awards, and yes, they do show a few. They do show a few awards and things, but it's kind of like a mini E3. Like, we'll do an award here, then we'll do an award maybe a little later on. We'll have little, not really full commercials, but like they'll have like games for or commercials for existing games that are like out right about now. Or they kept advertising Smash Brothers, which comes out today, of which I'm probably not going to grab. But a lot of it is they talk about new content for existing games, and then of course their premieres or world exclusive trailers and things like that. And to be fair, there were some really good things in the show. But it was like 3 hours. It started at 8 o'clock last night and went till pretty much 11 o'clock. And like I said, some of it was fine, but some of it kind of dragged on a little bit. It just depends on what kind of things you cared about. They had at least 3 or 4 different musical performances, which some were okay. But, again, it's more of just kind of a spectacle. But, to be fair, it's a thing that, Jeff Keighley does that, really shows off and kind of celebrates our hobby, our pastime, our addiction, video games. And it does that, pretty well. A few things that stood out to me. We get... let's see, I just have a couple things written. Oh, yeah, so one of their early things that they showed, which was actually a surprise, I did not know that was coming, and it is a Nintendo Switch exclusive right now. Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3. It's kind of like this action RPG thing. It looked pretty good. I saw a lot of fun characters there. It seemed like there was some good voice acting. Seemed pretty actiony. I think I played the first Ultimate Alliance a little bit. And before that, they had their X-Men Legends series back on the original Xbox and GameCube days. Those were kind of cool. I normally don't get into those games, but I played a fair bit of the first X-Men Legends. I remember renting that from like GameFly or something like that back in the day. So that should be kind of a fun one. That might draw a few more Switch owners in. That was a nice surprise. And then early on in the show, this was something that was really cool to see. Literally, I think like this, probably the third thing in or so, they had a little sequence on able gamers and gaming with disability, and I totally forget. I think his name is Steve, one of the guys in there. But you can look up the video that he had, that he did. For the Game Awards, and it was just a really cool video. Kind of sad in a way though too, because he was saying, he's like, okay, well, I was getting done with high school and I was trying to figure out what did I want to do with my life after graduation. He went to his counselor, his guidance counselor, and they're like, basically, well, we don't think you're gonna, with your disabilities and stuff, we don't think you're gonna live that long anyway, and so just, go home and enjoy the rest of the life that you have. Basically, go home and die. That's what he basically said. And that's just, you don't say that to anybody. I mean, that part was kind of rough to watch, because it was like, really, guys? I mean, but then he said, well, he took a look at that and went, no, I mean, I'm not going to just roll over and die. I'm going to, I want to do something that'll help people. I want to do something that'll help me. I want to live. And so he is really involved in able gamers and, getting other people to enjoy their game. Oh, that was the one thing I didn't put on my list. Let me go back to my browser here. I want to see. I might do a search here for. Let me do a magnifier really fast. And we're going to end the video, hopefully if I can find it. I wanted to show you guys the ad. Yeah, this is it, I think. Okay, so we're going to end the video with the Microsoft game adaptive controller ad that they've been showing on TV. Because we're talking about able gamers, we're talking about game accessibility. That was just a really cool ad, and I'll talk about that more in a brief minute. Let's get back to the Game Awards. So they had this Able Gamers thing. Later on, they did talk to Phil Spencer at Microsoft as well. And, they talked about what's going on this year, what's going to happen next year. And they did mention the game, they did mention the adaptive controller, I think maybe twice during the whole Game Awards thing. And one thing I would love to see, especially with so many more games becoming more accessible or including accessibility features, I think, especially since they bothered to look at the Able Gamers and have that sequence. They talked about it with Phil Spencer late in the show about, they mentioned the game accessibility again. I should almost tweet to the Game Awards or Jeff Keighley or whatever, and I should really suggest, they should have, and unless it was one of those topics that never, that they didn't show live, they should have a specific award next year for best, I don't know how you'd want to word it, best game accessibility, or maybe most inclusive game. Yeah, maybe, there you go. Maybe most inclusive / accessible game. Because then again, you get the Microsoft, you get the adaptive controller, you get Able Gamers. You are addressing mainstream audiences. You are addressing mainstream game developers. You are addressing mainstream game media. So if you get that stuff, you get that word out there more, you're going to have more reception to it, and maybe you get more people to actually kind of take it, pay more attention and take it more seriously, to go, yeah, okay, yeah, maybe we should actually look into this. Maybe we should actually take this more seriously. Yeah, so maybe that's something that I'll have to maybe do on Twitter and see if I can either hashtag the Game Awards and make that suggestion, and maybe hashtag Game Awards and figure out what Jeff Keighley's Twitter handle is and shoot that suggestion out there. That should be a thing if it's already not. So we'll work on that, and then maybe we'll trend. That'd be cool. So other things on the Game Awards, Able Gamers, but that was a cool sequence. Just really sad though, that first part is just how can someone just be told that basically just go home and die, wait to die? God, I would have been pissed. But good for him. Glad I'm glad he's out there doing it. And really cool sequence. Glad that was right up front. Oh yeah, I guess I missed this during some pre-show or something, but apparently the Stanley Parable is getting some kind of a deluxe edition, ultimate deluxe edition or something in 2019, coming to consoles. I don't know if that content is also coming to the PC, but rest assured, if it comes to the Xbox One, I'm not above buying it again and getting more achievements, because they're adding some more content to it. And remember, I did a whole playthrough. You can watch that Let's Play on the channel. That was a fun one that I did a few years ago. So they're adding more endings and all kinds of stuff, and even their little ad that they did for it was pretty dang good. So the Stanley Parable is returning. Funny game. What else? Oh yes, Mortal Kombat 11. Yeah, and I want to say the release date on that is going to be April, sometime in April. So that's coming up really dang soon, and we haven't seen footage one of that game until last night. Granted, it was only CG. They had Scorpion and Raiden, and they had them duking it out in there, and I mean, it looked really cool. I'm sure it'll be fine because if it's Nether Realms, they've done a great job with the Injustice and the Mortal Kombat games. I have no reason to believe, especially with the story mode that they've put in the recent Mortal Kombat games and how ridiculous they are. Hell yeah, sign me up. I'm in. I'm in. So yeah, we got a Mortal. I mean, I was pretty sure they were coming out with another one here pretty soon, and there was some rumors that they were maybe going to be doing a new Mortal Kombat announcement here pretty quick. And yeah, glad they did. So that's again early next year is going to be really, really solid. Crackdown 3. What is that? February, I think. If it's at least as good as Crackdown 1, I'm sold. I'm really thinking about getting Game Pass so I can play that. Just in case it isn't good, I can still have Game Pass. I mean, there's so many things in like between February and March and May. You've got Rage 2, which I'm definitely interested in playing. It's basically like an amped up, more humorous version of Rage. Kind of reminds me of a combination of Rage 1 meets Mad Max meets Borderlands, the series. So all of those types of things are coming out in like the first half of next year. And there's way more things that I haven't, that I weren't at the Game Awards, but I'm sure that are coming out. That it's just, yeah, 2019 is going to be kind of insane, I think. Outer Worlds. This is a new, some kind of uh, RPG shooter kind of a thing from. Oh, I just Obsidian. They make a lot of the RPGs. They actually did the South Park RPGs recently, I believe. But they've done so many things. They've done some of the. I think they did the like Fallout New Vegas. So they've been around, and that trailer looked pretty funny. I mean, it kind of had this sort of weird, twisted, kind of dark humor to it. I'm really intrigued to see what that's going to be like more. Um, Devil May Cry 5 coming out next year. I want to say again, that's another February game. And I got to look on my Xbox Live at some point here today because apparently they are having a Xbox One demo available out this weekend. And so I might have to grab that and maybe I shall record a video for it. I've played the original Devil May Cry series a little bit. Back in college, my friends and I never had a PS2, and that's all it was on at the time. So, my friends had it, and then I would play it. I'd play their systems a little bit. And I love the idea of Devil May Cry, but as a low vision user, the thing that I really had trouble with is it was kind of this weird. There were some parts of the game where you had like a free moving camera and it would follow you around, in kind of real time and it would be pretty well. But then there were a lot of times where it kind of took the like fixed camera angles of like a Resident Evil, the early Resident Evil games, or, even something like the early God of War games where they were trying to show this really artistic. Sometimes you would be close to the camera, sometimes you would be way, way far away, and it would just show this, ginormous vista or something. But it was really disorienting, and especially when you were doing platforming and things like that, and you weren't sure where to go because, things were at a weird angle and you couldn't turn the camera. There were aspects of that series that I really kind of had trouble playing. I liked the action-y parts, and the story was ridiculous and everything like that, but I did find it a little bit harder to play than I expected just because of some of that camera stuff, some of those camera issues. I do own the DMC reboot that they did a few years ago, and again, there's just so many games, so little time. I own it. I want to play it. I've heard pretty dang good things about that, and I think some of the camera issues maybe have been addressed in there. It's a little bit easier to play in that regard. So maybe I'll take a look at that at some point. Um, God, yeah, I don't know. I mean, yeah, so I'm going to look at Devil May Cry probably at some point here in the near future. See if the full game of that might be interesting to me. They had a lot of other game announcements. Of course, they had like, Fortnite Season 7. I don't even know what the other seasons were. So with the Battle Royale kind of thing, I'm not interested. I was sort of interested in what Fortnite originally was, but even then I was sort of on the fence. There were some other game announcements, but those are the ones, like I said, just go look on YouTube or some of the gaming websites, and you'll see, like, oh, here's all the things that were announced during the Game Awards. There's a lot there, but like I said, those are the things that stand out to me personally. I may be missing one or two other things, but I would say that's the vast majority of the Game Awards. So yeah, we've had a lot of good things, a lot of bad things. Like I said, all these weird like Fallout 76 and PlayStation Classic things going on. But overall, it's been pretty good. I mean, I haven't really played a lot of the AAA games this year. I mean, I probably would have played Spider-Man if I could have gotten that. If that PlayStation 4 $200 bundle would have been in stock somewhere. After my little family financial situation was resolved, I was going to look and see, but nowhere had them in stock anymore on that Black Friday weekend, so I was SOL. I really didn't get to play or didn't get to pick up the PlayStation 4 Spider-Man pack, because that is one I'd love to try. God of War won some awards. Of course, your Red Dead Redemption won tons of awards. No surprise there. I think Dead Cells took away some awards, which is great. Celeste took an award, which is really good. Covered both of those on the channel. And before I switch back to YouTube and wrap up our video here, just looking at my, when we were talking about Steam and the Epic Store, like I said, I really probably should try to do something and update my Steam user group. I have an illegally cited Steam user group. I haven't really plugged that lately because even myself, admittedly, I kind of forgot about it. But, I have some games here listed that are, either like blind character games, or there's a couple of accessible titles that are on here. I've got a couple of different like playlists and things like that, or recommendations in my Steam illegally cited Steam group, so feel free to join that. We've got 4 members right now, and I know I haven't updated. I haven't even posted any, updates or anything like that. Like I said, I even forgot about it for the past few months because I've been so busy with other things. So maybe I will try to get around to doing something with that in the near future again. But yeah, I think we're going to wrap it up here. But before we do, I do have to show you the adaptive controller ad. I saw it a couple times watching football games the last couple of weeks. And you know what? This is a great ad because it's not going, oh, look at the disabled person, a lot of them, they kind of pander to the, inspiration porn, as they call it, or they say, oh, don't feel sorry for this kid. Now he can play games and everything. But I don't know. Let's play it here, and then I'll maybe say a couple things, and then we'll wrap it up here. So watch this video.
He's gonna do it!
I love this ad.
You gotta see this!
Everyone's outside, running through the neighborhood.
Oh, he's gonna do it! Come on, come on!
Gotta gather up the neighborhood, gather up the kids. Like, you're gonna do what? What's gonna happen? There's the adaptive controller.
Come on. Yeah, let's go! All right. So how about another game?
Just a really nice ad. I mean, it's not pandering. It's not, looking down on the kid with a disability. I don't know. It's just I think it's a really good ad. So, well done to the team at Microsoft for making that happen this year. Like the ad, people are seeing it. I was hoping that that would have like some kind of award for that particular controller. I wish they would have publicized that at the awards last night. But yeah, just really nice controller, or really nice commercial. Really like it. So on that nice positive note, I think we're going to wrap it up. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Again, check out the channel. There's tons of stuff that I did recently that's on the main page. Go through the playlist, find a certain type of playlist that you like. Follow me on Mixer, mixer.com/BGFH. You can follow me there, and when I go live, you'll get a notification. And I also tweet when I go live on Mixer, and lots of other things. I'm pretty active on Twitter these days. You can follow me there, twitter.com, or I'm getting mixed up here. Yeah, mixer.com/BGFH, and Twitter is at BGFH79. So, hope you guys enjoyed the video. And until next time, I will chat with you guys again later.